Processing specimens received at the National Tuberculosis Reference Laboratories usually has a long cascade, and many people think about the specimens when they have arrived, but actually there are many activities that take place before their arrival.
We receive samples for diagnosis of TB from within Uganda and out of Uganda. This project mainly supports the national TB reference laboratories of the countries that we are supporting. For example, in South Sudan, in Somalia, both in Mogadishu and Hargeisa. In Uganda, we receive all samples from which we can diagnose TB. And these include sputum, what we call pulmonary TB. We also include extrapulmonary TB samples, and these include aspirates, lavages, and so many others.
You need to prepare the clinicians or the people collecting the samples such that they collect the right kind of specimen.
We use the existing sample transport system, which are managed by the Ministry of Health Uganda, and through this, the different peripheral laboratories pick samples or collect samples from patients. They package them in what we call triple packaging through a national courier system that has been set up. From that, they are transported to the laboratory at the National TB Reference Lab.
When we get a drug-resistant TB patient, we contact those patients, we collect the sample from the patient, and this sample is sent to NTRL for further testing.
We have also networking system which help us to transport our samples. For instance, there is some samples which is beyond our level, and we are supposed to refer them to National TB and Leaf Process Center, Kampala.
Once they reach us here, they will go straight to the sample reception window. We shall lift them to the biosafety level 2 laboratory, and we open them in a biosafety cabinet for safety reasons. In the biosafety cabinet, we shall check the sample against the request form. Whether it is correctly filled, then we can go ahead to receive.
Once we can achieve that, then you know you have a wonderful specimen that has been received into the facility, and you're now able to begin with the processes. What does it take to prepare the pre-analytical processes? Well, you need to prepare some documentation, say the clinician handbook we've developed with the aid of partners, and we've circulated it to the various facilities that are collecting samples on our behalf, showing them which containers must be used, how they need to fill the request forms, what results they would expect from us. Should we not be pleased with the sample, what shall we do? Many times we reject or we reconcile. All this information you need to provide to them.
We check the integrity of the sample by checking the volume, the appearance, and this we record on the form. In addition, we also record on the time the sample has arrived here, the date, and the person who is receiving the sample. Not all samples are good, so we have what we call a rejection criteria that we use to reject some samples that come here. And when we reject, we inform the client so that he or she can be able to collect another sample. Once the sample is good for us to receive, we enter it into an electronic laboratory information system. Through this process of accessioning, we are able to assign a laboratory number that will follow that sample through the rest of the process in the laboratory. If the patient category is from a multi-drug resistant patient, we do sensitivity testing. We want to check whether the patient is responding to the drugs that he or she has been given or is about to be given. We prepare materials that they will test from here in Uganda. We quality control them in what we call testing for stability and homogeneity to make sure that all the countries, all our participants get the same material. And when they provide the results, they are all supposed to provide the same result. With that, we can say a lab has passed or has failed. But for all samples that come from Uganda, there are two aspects. We do GeneXpert testing, then we also do processing of samples. We also culture on two types of media. We culture on solid media, Lowenstein, Jensen, which is also known as LJ. We also culture on liquid medium. So all these are happening in labs that are under negative pressure. Some tests can be done in BSL-2, other tests can be done in BSL-3A, others in BSL-3B, others in the molecular part, which is the line probe assay, and GeneXpert. So once they have grown, we do report the results.
Once the results are ready, we have different platforms to ensure quality is maintained. The technician reporting the results or who examined the test will report on a worksheet. We have another person assigned to that section who also pretty understands what the one who has reported does, to come and review what he has done, to make sure the reporting and recording has accurately been done. The controls that were initiated as part of this test sample have been reviewed and okayed as passed before the result can be released. If the reviewer okays, the information will be put into our database and then will be electronically sent to the clinician, or it will be sent physically